One. Good day, everybody, and welcome to today's Operational Services Committee meeting. I am your chair, Councillor Chris Thiessen, here today joined by Councillors Auger, Flack, and the Mayor herself, Jackie Clayton. I'll call this meeting to order, and I'll look for a motion. Oh, wait. Actually, before I look for that motion to adopt the agenda, I do have an addition to the agenda that I'm seeking just a little bit of discussion on. I have it in the e-scribe as item 6.1, and it's community water fluoridation. And if anybody would be so kind as to make a motion to amend the agenda as presented, we can move along. Councillor Auger.
Thank you. I would like to approve the agenda with the addition of item 6.1, community water fluoridation.
Thank you. That motion is in order. I'll call to question. Councillor Auger.
I'm in favor.
Right, and that motion carries. Moving right in, we have no delegations, and we'll move right to our service area update, to which I will pass it over to our Chief Glavin for his service area update. Chief Glavin.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. We'll start off in fleet management today. Currently, we're preparing for summer operations, although it doesn't look like it out there. And we're well underway with getting our mowers, sweepers, and other related seasonal equipment ready to go. As well, we're doing a couple updates to our cutaway buses by having some child seats installed to improve safety of youth passengers. In corporate facility management, we've recently posted a request for proposals to update our Cantex system for security access throughout that facility. We've also awarded the RCMP HVAC system update, and we have... Oh, my apologies. We'll skip on to environment parks. Currently, we have maintenance staff that are continuing snow removal and ice control along pathways and bus stops. And GP Grows is kicking off a little bit early with the Early Sprouts program at Ernie Radburn Pavilion, where we are giving away seed packets to the community for free. And you can go pick those up until March 13th, anytime between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Going to engineering and transportation services, crews are currently hauling Priority 2 windrows. Residential service continues with Week A service, and we'll roll into Week B here on Friday. Water trucks and hydrovacs crews are currently working 24 hours a day to address drainage concerns, freeing up catch basins as well. We do have a small pothole crew that is out there, and as we get off some of the flood control, we'll be adding to that crew to get more of the potholes filled, as that's definitely become a challenge with the freeze thaw. We've also recently posted a request for quotes for some tree clearing in Mission Estates that is in line with the stormwater project that we're doing in there, preparing for it this spring. We've also recently closed a request for tender for the Crystal Lake Trees and Trail project, which is one that we're partnering with FRIA on. And I do have a slightly more detailed update for the snow budget as kind of a, not a season end wrap up because we're still right in it, but I just wanted to add a little bit more clarity to my update last committee where I let everybody know that we are definitely trending above budget this year for snow removal, and just wanted to give a bit more detail for service level expectations and projected budget spend. So I'll get my screen shared. So right now we've had a sustained snow event essentially since the end of December, where we've had a substantial amount of snowfall back to back, which has limited our ability to utilize internal resources for trucking specifically, which has led us to rely on contract trucking. Right now, our snow hauling volumes are well above last winter, a little over 12,500 loads that we've had to the snow dump, which is why you can have a pretty good view of our snow dump from most parts of the city at this point. largely just due to the amount of snow that we had in the short order that we had it, without much relief as far as melting or warmer temperatures or drifting even. Some years we can get snow that drifts off the roads and we don't have to clear it. We didn't get the benefit of very much of that this year. The cul-de-sac program, so council added $100,000 to the budget for cul-de-sac removal. We've always done some cul-de-sac removal over the course of a winter using contracted services. This year, due to the volumes, we aren't even, we're well above historical costs for removing it. We don't have a service level in policy to remove cul-de-sac piles, but we do prioritize them based on traversability, making sure that we are able to get around, turned around in areas, and sometimes also if there are concerns from flooding. Long story short, we got through about 60% of them at a cost of just under $300,000. Right now, our plan is to use internal resources to complete the rest of them. It would be a bit of a guesstimate at this point, but it'd be, to do the remaining 40% would likely be somewhere in the neighborhood of $200,000 plus to complete it using contracted resources. But right now, we believe that we are probably better served by using internal resources to complete that after we get through this next snow round. Projected spend, right now you can see the contracted services, we have a little over 1.3 budgeted. We have a few assumptions built into the projected costs. This also includes snow round this fall as part of the next snow season. And then internal services, we're not currently forecasting a variance on that right now. We'll have a much better sense of it after this snow season on what it might look like. But as you can see, in total, we're looking at about a $1.5 million variance for this snow season. So, yeah, key takeaways, our snow hauling volumes are substantially higher than we've had in the last few years, just due to the pattern of the snowfall and the utilization of contractors to maintain the service levels that we have in our policy. And happy to take any questions.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Chief Glavin. I'll first turn it over to committee members for questions, and then I'll move on from there. I have Mayor Clayton in the queue.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. I have one question that's not snow related from earlier in your report, and then I have a snow one, so let me go wherever you want, Councillor Thiessen.
Well, yeah, let's go with snow first, if you like.
Can I just get the one out of the way, because I'm sure there'll be a bunch of snow?
Do whatever you like, Madam Mayor, Your Worship.
I meant if you want me to continue, I will.
Continue.
Chair, or Chief Glavin, rather, can you explain to me a little more the child seats on the buses you're doing?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Clayton. I can get some more detail on it, but I believe...
like, is it for infant carriers or is it for toddler? I'm just curious what it is.
I'll email that out to committee.
Thank you. Okay.
Great question, Mayor Clayton.
Thanks.
Do you have your snow question?
I do,
now?
yeah.
All right, let's do it.
So, Chief Glavin, can you remind me, I recall that when it came to budget for cul-de-sac removal, the original presentation was for about $335,000, if I recall correctly. Did council reduce it to $100,000? Is that what, can you remind me?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Clayton. I'd have to go back and look at the exact details, but I believe.
Okay. So currently 60% is done. You need approximately $200,000, to do the remaining 40%. Your recommendation is to let our internal team do that as they can, as they go. I guess my concern and my question to you is, if we get 20 centimeters of snow next week, like potentially on the weather app I see, how long does that put that out? And then how does that impact melting and impact the neighborhoods? And maybe you can expand a bit more. Are these neighborhoods some of the worst? What does the 40% look like?
Chief Glavin.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Clayton. There's definitely some substantial piles out there in some neighborhoods, especially some of the larger cul-de-sacs have very large piles. There is snow in the forecast next week. Anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20, depending on which model you're looking at. Certainly that will cause additional piles. So right now, even the 60% of the piles that we initially pulled, every one of those has a new pile because we've had to do residential since then. They're dramatically smaller piles. I think our decision or our actions would change as the facts change. So, next week, if we get 20 plus centimeters of snow and it stays cold for a while, then we may need to look at changing our decision on contractors. But right now, the confidence in the forecasts are still not high on the snow amounts. It's a bit of a guessing game on what next week looks like. But right now, we are nearing the end of the season. There are warmer temperatures on the outside of the forecast over the next 2 weeks. By leaving the piles there, it will definitely prolong the amount of ice that we have in those areas.
Mayor Clayton.
So a question for Chief Whiteway. Can you remind me the current balance on Council's Strategic Initiative Fund? If you need to come back, that's totally fine.
No, thanks for the question through the chair. So currently the balance remaining is $590,000 in council strategic initiatives.
So my question for Chief Glavin, I'm a little concerned there's a lot of variables in this. There are some neighborhoods that I think need some focus. I don't know if council can be confident on the weather ever. So I worry that these ones that are significant and will lead to further problems become even more of a problem with the potential risk that we get more snow in the next month. And so, if council were to consider using contractors to remove the most troublesome snow piles, if in the 40%, if that means it's another 20% of that 40%, is that something that the current contractors have capacity for? Is there even any, is it even worth exploring removing this some or all of this 40%?
Chief Glavin.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Clayton. Yeah, we do have agreements with trucking companies in order that they do have capacity to assist if we need to. Anything we do to remove snow will lessen the impacts in the areas that we're able to remove it from usability of the area as well as the amount of ice, and will have some effect on water.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. I think that if we could count on the fact that the weather was going to be seasonally normal, which it hasn't been to date, then I'd be quite comfortable that our internal teams would be able to get to this as they go along. I do have some concerns about what this looks like over the next month. I also think that our snow removal plan is an exceptional plan, and having conversations with other mid-sized mayors, we spend a lot on snow removal. We have a Cadillac service of snow removal. There are mid-sized cities across Alberta that don't do near the snow removal that we do. And so, but we've kind of got into this position now that we've pulled a thread to make it better and better and better. And now I feel like we're sort of in a position that we need to continue on that path for at least this season and then review it following the season. I worry about what it looks like with a little bit more snow, some of these significant piles. And I don't know my colleagues' thoughts on this, but there are some piles out there that I think are extremely troublesome and that we may want to consider addressing, because although we've had an abnormal amount of snow this year, we also have neighborhoods that are facing abnormal circumstances because of these piles. So I'll leave it open for discussion, Chair Thiessen, but I think there's some pieces that we need to consider as a council.
Certainly. And as you say, council, I think perhaps there's a motion coming forward in the future portion of this meeting to engage the rest of council into those conversations, especially with the intimation that we may dip into our Strategic Initiatives Fund as well. So, Mayor Clayton.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. I guess a question for the CFO or the city manager. If council didn't have interest in using their strategic initiative fund, however, wanted to see some of this cleaned up, set an amount or leave it to administration's discretion to remove the most troublesome piles, what would the alternative funding source be?
Chief Wayway.
Thank you, through the chair. We would recommend letting the variance go for 2026 and allow us to look at ways that we can balance internally. But also, we are finalizing the 25 year end, which we had projected surplus, are expecting to bring forward a surplus for allocation, and have been considering recommending a solution that could help with any budget variance in 26. So that could mean putting a little aside in financial stabilization. So if we end 26 with that variance of 1.5 or even more, if you do direct more cul-de-sac clearing, we can manage that.
Mayor Clayton? Yeah, you
Thanks,
bet.
Chair Thiessen. Chief Glavin, in your team's evaluation, is it the full 40% that needs addressing?
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. I'll invite our Director of Engineering and Transportation up.
Well, come on down there, Mr. Nellis. Nice to see you again. And welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Through the chair, to answer your question, that 40% haven't been picked up once this season. So likely if we were going to proceed, we would try to remove all of that, knowing that there is some uncertainty in the upcoming forecast. And some of those areas are ones that we're yet to hit in this current round of residential. So they're going to grow based on the work that we're doing right now and could grow further. So yeah, we would probably try to remove as much of that 40% as possible.
So if you're comfortable, Chair Thiessen, I would do some business on this one item, and then we can open up other snow removal conversations based on the information provided today.
I'm certainly open to a motion. I'm just, I don't see our other committee members' hands going up. Councillor O'Connor has been waiting patiently through this. Did you have questions on the snow removal or comments at all, Councillor O'Connor?
Yes, thank you, Chair Thiessen. I appreciate getting an opportunity to speak. One of the critical parts that are happening is not just the snow piles and the cul-de-sacs. It's the amount of snow that's removed from the roads that's causing water not to get to the drains, which the drains are closed, and that is causing neighbors to have the road higher than their driveways, and their driveways are being flooded. So I'm wondering, I'm not sure if it's all areas, and that'd be my question to Mr. Nellis, is there are some areas that need a little bit more aggressive snow removal, especially when the snow is soft.
Yeah, that was a question to Mr. Nellis. Yeah, Mr. Nellis.
Okay, thank you, through the chair. Yes, certainly the methods that we use to store snow, especially on lawns, and the fact that, or on city boulevards, I'm sorry, and the fact that they've gotten so large that they're now spilling out in the street does cause some pooling issues, does cause water to back up onto driveways. As we move into the spring season, we're able to allocate resources into these residential neighborhoods. In addition to pile hauling, we'll go through and try to clear those gutters, try to make sure that water is flowing to the intended drains, and making sure that those drains are open. So we are conscious of this. We do take calls from the call center, and if water is actually threatening to enter a building, then of course we prioritize that. But some water crawling up onto some driveways is probably going to be a fact of life for this spring.
That's unfortunate, but again, the exceptional from 4,000 loads to 12,000 loads is a lot. That's a huge amount of snow. So thank you for allowing me to express concerns from the residents. Thank you.
Kuna Matata, thank you for being a voice for some of our residents, Councillor O'Connor. I do have Councillor Auger from committee in the queue, as well as Councillor Bressie. So we'll start with Councillor Auger first.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. I have a question, Chief Glavin. I'm well aware of 311. In 311, are we getting a lot of calls related to snow removal or snow removal activities? And my second part is, I live right behind Wild Rose Manor, and over the years, the snow removal has been great. And really what I mean by great is they use great big transport trucks to deliver meals, food to Wild Rose Manor in the back alley there. And I live right across the street. so my street gets done. But lately, they haven't been removing all the snow so that all the big trucks can back in properly. And they've been sitting there and fighting their way to get into the back because of the berm that's in the middle. Is there a way to prioritize that when they do that part of the street, that they actually move the berm farther west, like push the snow farther west so that the big trucks can get in safely without hitting a parked vehicle while they're trying to turn in? And there is parked vehicles that are close, and they're on my side of the street. So there's an issue there. And I've talked to Randy, he's the maintenance guy for Wild Rose, and he said that he had talked with the city before about improving or doing a service for that part. So what can Randy do to get better access for the big transport trucks to get into Wild Rose? That would be my question. And the second part goes back to the original. Are we getting a lot of calls about snow removal on 311?
I'll give that second one to Chief Glavin, and perhaps Mr. Nellis may be able to answer that first one. It seemed like an operational question, but...
Thank you, through the chair. I'm not aware of the particular situation that you're bringing forward, but I would be happy to address that with our team and see what we can do to ensure that those residents are able to get serviced appropriately.
Thank you. And I know they've done it real well over the years, and this maybe a different operator or something. So
yeah, and there's definitely some situations where the volumes have gotten us to a point where storage areas are filling up, and we're definitely compromising more of the street and more of the available space than we have in some past years.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thank you, Mr. Nellis. And Chief Glavin for that. Oh, or CAO Burke, they're fighting over it.
Oh, I just happen to have the info in front of me here, Chair Thiessen. In the last week, we've had 311 has had 364 snow and ice related calls, and that is a 80% increase over the week before. There's also been 29 cases related to blocked drains, overland water, and I'll just add in 34 reports of potholes over the last 2 weeks.
Not to mention that full lane pothole on 68th Avenue on the bridge there. That was wild. I barely missed that one. Councillor Bressie.
Great, thank you. I'm glad when I got in when I did, because these two really did introduce a lot of what I'm interested in. But first, a question about those 311 calls. So we've had a huge amount of snow and ice control. Do we have any categorization of those in terms of knowing what's bugging people most frequently when they're calling the city?
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. I don't have that breakdown in front of me, but that is data that we can break out.
And I think for me, if we're going to do business and talk about reallocating more resources, I'd really love to look at the two things I'd love to look at is the data about what's bugging residents the most, but also what are the things we're doing that actually compromise either public or private infrastructure. I really get why people are frustrated with their cul-de-sacs not being hauled away, and they get frustrated this time of year. And somebody who is really a big advocate of funding removing those cul-de-sacs, I'm disappointed we weren't able to get all of them, but that's the reality of this weather. For me, I really do think that the things we should be prioritizing is where that flooding's happening, because I am worried about the impact it has on roads and people's driveways, and even people being able to park on their driveways and not freeze in overnight. And also where the data actually shows people are calling the most is the second priority I'd have. But for me, I don't really need to get rid of those piles. If they're not piles that are causing flooding, I really would rather prioritize getting rid of storage that's flooding out right now if we're going to spend more.
Yeah, thanks for those comments, Councillor Bressie. And we do know, even Council knows some of the areas that are a bit more prone to that overland flooding, like Northridge, Royal Oaks. They tend to have some issues throughout those. Administration is well aware of it. And I 100% wholeheartedly agree. Wherever a person's property is threatened, we should be acting on that first versus the other ones. And certainly the snow mountain in front of my house in my cul-de-sac is... I think my grandkids would be very, very sad to lose that because they've been enjoying climbing the mountain, but I know some of our neighbors would be happy. Mayor Clayton, you have been germinating on a motion here for some time to do business.
And some other stuff first.
All right, you want to do other stuff? Let's do other stuff. You're welcome.
I just wanted to clarify Councillor Thiessen's comments, Councillor Bressie's comments. in regards to the calls that we're getting, actually, I'll go to 311 first. So 311 is open Monday to Friday, and currently, for those individuals who are looking to report an incident, there's an online reporting tool. Goes to an on-call person on the weekend to deal with issues. Do you have any stats on how effective or how often the online reporting tool is being used?
Chief Glavin?
Thanks, Mayor Clayton. I don't have the exact amount of the breakdown, but I know that it's actively monitored. I know we were actively monitoring it this weekend and we had crews addressing. Director Nellis might have a little bit more color that he could add to that one.
Director Nellis.
Thank you, through the chair. We don't have a specific breakdown on that, and it's something that is very seasonal. Depending on the type of calls that we might get, we'll be monitoring those online forms over the course of the weekend. And people can call 311. This past weekend, there was a situation where the call center or the lines were basically overwhelmed going into the dispatch. So that's why some residents were dead-ended as they went through the call tree. But we're looking to resolve that with the dispatch team.
Great. And my other question is in regards to Councillor O'Connor's comment. I know it can be very troubling, concerning when water is coming up your driveway. But Chief Glavin, can you maybe talk a little bit about that? I think I understand from a conversation you and I had yesterday that that's quite normal on how the lot is, the grading is planned, that there potentially could be water coming up your driveway, but it's not necessarily a reason to panic.
Chief Glavin?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Clayton. Certainly there's overland storage within neighborhoods that's designed whenever the pipes are overwhelmed for water to store, usually as part of the road right-of-way, but the road right-of-way also forms part of the boulevard in front of your house.
Right.
So it would be rare that water would be going compromising structures, although areas of the city that we are well aware of that every time we have a freeze-thaw cycle that we need to be monitoring.
Okay, so now I'm prepared for business.
Prepared for business. All right, let's do it.
So I would direct administration to remove the snow from piles from cul-de-sacs, and I'm just wordsmithing here as I go. I'll add the word remaining snow piles, which is approximately 40%, and spend up to $200,000 to do this. This would be done through contractors. It would be, and I guess I'll ask the city manager, do you want committee to recommend council? How would you like to deal with this?
Thanks, Chair Thiessen.
It really slows it down, and I'd like to get moving on this.
As we're not identifying specific funding source, I could leave it to the discretion of the committee if they're comfortable.
Yeah, and so normally I'd love to have council as part of the conversation, but I'm just worried about the timing of this, the freeze and thaw, the continued problems. This is only gonna, as we get closer to spring, be a bigger problem. We expect our residents to do their part in clearing their sidewalks and, when possible, clear their storm drains. But there is some neighborhoods, approximately 40%, as you heard, that have significant piles of snow in their cul-de-sacs. For me, it's up to the 200,000, because if administration determines that are some that are manageable and will melt properly and over time and not have significant impact, then maybe we don't need to remove those. But to use the contractors to remove the snow that potentially is reducing risk as we get closer to spring and have more thaw in neighborhoods, which in turn could be more flooding. I'd like to see some of these snow piles removed. So I would leave it to administration's sort of discretion to remove the ones that are potentially most troublesome, and that being approximately 40% of our cul-de-sacs. I think I heard yesterday there's 400 cul-de-sacs in our community. So there's still 100 cul-de-sacs out there that have had no snow removed this entire season. So we know that some neighborhoods were designed where street parking is a part of reality. And so we know that there are some troublesome neighborhoods. We hear about it regularly. I know my colleagues hear about it. As you've seen, the data shows that we're getting the calls and we're hearing about it. So leaving it to the discretion of administration to remove the ones that are most troublesome, but also with a limit in mind that it's up to $200,000. Thanks.
Great, thank you for that motion. Question for you, Mayor Clayton. Is there a specific funding source that
as mentioned by the CFO, to leave it to potentially be absorbed through surplus that'll be realized through 2025 and just go into an overrun for this current snow season?
Okay. I'll turn it over to committee for questions. I don't see anybody, so maybe I'll start the conversation here, and I do see your hand, Councillor Bressie. And I'll say I don't disagree with Mayor Clayton that something perhaps needs to be done. I think where I'm struggling, and the faces around the table are maybe struggling as well, is committee making this direction without council. If we wanted to expedite this process and do it in the manner we typically do it in, we do have time and space to have an emergency meeting, to rip in for 15 minutes and do that and have everybody make their say. My concern is setting precedent at committee level for big spends and not having other members of council have a say whether or not they agree. And I'm pretty sure everyone around this table will agree that we need to do something about this snow mess, but I'm just not sure doing it through the committee structure is the appropriate way to function this. So I did see Chief Glavin's hand go up, so I will move to Chief Glavin for any comments.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. Perhaps just to give an administrative point of view, right now, the way that administration executes operations with regard to snow is based on Policy 606. So right now, we're already running a deficit based on policy. So council says that we hit a trigger, we go out, we put the forces out there, we expend the money necessary. If we run a variance, in theory, it goes to financial stabilization reserve or another, any other funding source that would be allocated. Going back to budget, there was $100,000 to pilot this cul-de-sac program to remove one round. Arguably, that's a service level that I could execute at that point and run a variance on, knowing that $100,000 was an estimate. The reason why I brought this forward is just due to how much over we are on the pilot, to just give a signal check from committee and council if you wanted us to continue with the pilot and remove everything or not. So I think we're comfortable continuing based on policy or perceived policy. Right now we have a resolution from council to conduct a pilot. So I feel as though that we have sufficient authority to continue, but it would be obviously council's comfort in that.
Okay, thank you for that, Chief Glavin. Just for my own understanding, so basically what you're saying is motion to do the work is not required?
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. At budget, council had the resolution passed to do the work, so we're doing the work. Right now, just wanted to get a signal check. Do you want us to continue? Because really what we're looking at is, we gave you an estimate of around 100,000, assuming it would be somewhat of a normal year. Abnormal year, we're now looking at a multiple of 5 on that $100,000, and just wanted to make sure that that still made sense to council to continue.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I'll go back to Mayor Clayton, and I still have Councillor Bressie in the queue.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. So with that information, I'd like to withdraw my motion and appreciate Chief Glavin recognizing and bringing that up. I believe, and I'll share my opinion, that we should continue on the work as originally outlaid in our policy. That will put us into being beyond our budget for snow removal, and through the CFO's comments, it could be absorbed through our 2025 surplus. So I think it's really it's our due diligence to get to those neighborhoods at least once this season as our plan. And unfortunately, due to the significant amount of snow and the volume, the number of truckloads, we are over budget. But this impacts residents daily, and I think to finish the job is us doing our job. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Mayor Clayton, and the withdrawal of the motion. I have, Councillor Bressie, I'm shuffling you down the line here. I have Councillor Flack in the queue.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. I had a question about the potholes, if that's a good place to do it.
Yeah, this is totally a great place to do it. Just a question, sorry, to Councillor Bressie. It was about snow.
Yeah,
we'll stay. Yeah, we'll stay topical, and then I'll move off.
I just wanted to mention I do have some questions about that after this.
Oh yeah, I was still gonna open. I have other questions myself here too, and also about potholes, believe it or not. Councillor Bressie.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I mean, my gut check is I've got no interest in concluding the cul-de-sac program to getting every single one removed. I hear it's going to be $500,000, but again, I do have a big interest in getting the cul-de-sacs removed where that would substantially change the change what we're seeing with flooding. But I've also got an interest in if we need more contractor resources to haul away not just cul-de-sac piles, but also windrows and other parts where we're storing slow that would prevent some of that driveway flooding we're seeing. I've got an interest for that. So I'm kind of curious in terms of, is there an option available if we said, hey, we're seeing a lot of driveways flood and we want to put more resources towards those flooding concerns, whether it's a cul-de-sac or a windrow that's doing it? Is there a mechanism that we could do that if council wanted?
Chief Glavin.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. With regard to windrows that are intentionally put to the middle of the street and some of the ones that we put to the sides where we have dual sidewalks, those largely will get picked up, especially the ones that are in the middle of the road, unless they melt before we get there. There's some pretty tiny little windrows out there. But I would, I guess it would depend on what the definition of windrow is in this context.
And it might not just be windrows, it also is, I'm getting pictures from residents where they've got 6 to 8 inches of ice out front of their street, and then you're seeing the pictures of it going up. And I get that we're going to do a really good job of making sure their houses and garages don't flood, but I also get why they're really concerned about just their driveway flooding. And that's what I'd like to see us tackle if we're going to spend more contractor money on, is getting rid of the cutting out those big ice dams that we're seeing in front of driveways. And maybe there's windrows connect them or not, but for me, it's not cul-de-sac piles that's the priority right now. It's flooding of driveways that's the issue right now.
Thanks for those comments. And yeah, you're right, Mayor Clayton. One does lead to the other, and sometimes when you have those freeze thaw cycles and you have the water drain underneath the slab of the concrete driveway, and then it freezes, that's where you're going to get those frost heaves and then sinking later on in the wetter season of the spring. And so then people have to deal with their uneven driveway surfaces. I'm going to go to Mayor Clayton.
So on the continuation of the program as approved in policy, will your actions be to bring on more resources through contractors, or will you sort of wait and see how it goes with more snow and use internal teams?
Chief Glavin?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Clayton. Might defer for a little bit more context to Mr. Nellis, but to complete all of the pile hauling, I don't see a situation where we aren't using some level of contract hauling.
Director Nellis.
Thank you, through the chair. Yes, if we were to go back and try to remove the piles that haven't been touched yet this season, we would be adding contracted trucking and using internal resources to load those trucks. Speaking to Councillor Bressie's concern, trying to clear up all the places where water is pooling at the bottom of a driveway, or those few inches, I understand it is a considerable concern. However, if we were to try and resolve that citywide prior to things melting in April, we'd be probably looking at a several $100,000 effort in order to do that, and additional equipment. When typically, as the season progresses, we'll take those SRQs, we'll visit those neighborhoods. Like Councillor Thiessen said, we know where there's problems with overland drainage and water flow. So we'll monitor those with internal resources. We go and cut those berms out as internal resources fill up or free up over the course of the season. And we're confident, again, that we can prevent building damage. But if council's will is to prevent water from pooling on driveways, it'll require a considerable investment.
And then, there's also community initiatives as well. I know we have 6 residents side by side. I'm one of them, where we chipped away at our storm drain so that they didn't have to bring in an auger so that we could get water flow. And we had good water flow for 2 days, and then it all of a sudden flash froze, and now we've got thick ice again. So this is the battle that not only residents but also city administration has to work through sometimes, because we can open up that drain, but the second water starts to flow and it goes below temperature 0 degrees, then we could be dealing with reopening it up with another auger again too. So Mayor Clayton.
Just one last comment.
You got it.
Jason. I really appreciate the comments about the freeze and thaw. I think that it's important, though, I remind people, use 311, call and report it, go online and report. Facebook does not fix snow removal. Facebook does not fix your flooding. The reporting tool is a proven tool to use for that reason, and to be a resource for you to get your driveways fixed, to get your flooding fixed. So if it's Monday to Friday, call 311. If it's in the evening or over the weekend, go online and report it. I know it's a very responsive system, and I just really encourage residents to use it more regularly. Thanks.
Myself included, especially with potholes. Anyways, Councillor Berg, we're getting to you eventually, Councillor Flack.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Thiessen. So on my side of the street, we've got a sidewalk. So again, we chipped out the ice. It's all good. It's flowing. The other side, again, is where the giant piles are. And all down the street, it is, backing up on driveways. And I know cul-de-sacs are a problem. So some of the tools that we have are fairly obvious, of backhoes and loaders. In past winters, I have seen steam trucks out. Have we activated any steam trucks that the city owns or otherwise to clear up some of those ice dams? Because to me, that's what's happening. So that snow will melt, and then we get that 4 to 6 inches of ice, which now backs up onto driveways, but also onto the street as well. And so what tools are we using is the question.
Director Nellis.
Thank you, through the chair. Yes, absolutely, your observation is correct. We do utilize water trucks and a hydrovac truck that are internal resources to deal with the issues that you mentioned, in addition to using heavy equipment. So you'll see us quite frequently. Our priority is making sure that storm drains are open so the water has somewhere to flow when we do get melts. And quite often we'll be going through and also making channels in the ice with hot water or with steam to ensure that water has a place to flow when we're responding in priority order.
And have we activated those, or when do we typically activate them, if we haven't already?
We have activated those services. Of course, right now we're dealing with a situation where all seasons seem to be occurring simultaneously. So we're continually shifting resources from potholes to flooding to active snow removal to residential snow service and ice control. So it's a very fluid operation at the moment, but those trucks have been running 24/7 over the last couple of days.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
So you heard that, Councillor Berg. Thanks for your patience. It's a fluid operational, but an unenviable position. Yes. All right. I think we're moving off of this great discussion around snow removal, but Councillor Flack had a question in regards to potholes.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Thiessen. Just for Chief Glavin, what triggers the filling of potholes? Is it weather? Is it, can they do it in any weather? I imagine if it's that freeze and thaw, maybe it doesn't last as long. That's a guess, but yeah, how do I say it? Yeah, I asked the question.
Yeah,
thanks, Chair Thiessen. I'll give you some high level, and Mr. Nellis will give you a low. But yeah, essentially, we can do it at any time. It's just time and cost are the differential. But Mr. Nellis, why don't you give a couple examples there?
Sure, thank you, through the chair. We do have a variety of treatments that we use for potholes. And it's very temperature dependent, it's very condition dependent. Right now, we're seeing a situation, of course, where we've had multiple freeze-thaw cycles over the course of the winter. The ice that is in the gutter compounds the situation, because instead of running in the concrete gutter, the water is then running kind of out on the asphalt surface instead, and that compounds the issues. So we do use cold mix at sometimes when a hole just needs something thrown into it to make sure that it's not a hazard for the motoring public. We do have an asphalt recycler that we take out when we're able to put a couple more human resources to that allows us to do a more permanent patch. And then when conditions do dry out, then we use a Durapatch machine, which is a combination of an emulsion and a aggregate to do a more permanent fix. So we've got a suite of different treatments, and it just very much depends on the conditions of the time and the resources available.
Yeah, Councillor Flack, you bet.
With the increase in snow hauling this year, does that have an effect on the roads, breaking them up quite a bit more, like having that weight up and down? I don't know if it would.
Director Nellis.
Thank you. Through the chair. We definitely see heavy traffic, as we're hauling out of these neighborhoods. We're seeing some, we're bringing heavy truck traffic into some residential neighborhoods. Based on the life cycle of the road, and it's not a huge percentage increase in heavy truck traffic. So I would say that the effect on, overall road lifespan is probably minimal.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Councillor Flack. I do have a question in regards to potholes. This was actually called into 311. Luckily, I had a passenger in the vehicle who called it in. The 68th Avenue Bridge, there's an extremely large pothole on the north lane traveling west. And it was almost the size of my car. I literally had to swerve out of the way and almost get in an accident to miss it. But then I ran into two smaller potholes that would have jarred up my wheel wells. I missed those two, thank goodness. So my friend called it in to 311 and asked me what I would do in that situation or how quickly. I said, well, 311 works, so call it. And my thoughts were, well, we'll probably cone it first to close that lane down and likely throw gravel. But in the case of an extremely large pothole, such as the one on 68th Avenue, we wouldn't just throw in a cold mix or asphalt recycle machine. That would almost require like a full reclamation. Or how would we fill a hole that size?
Thank you, through the chair. So a hole that size, of course, we would probably put some kind of material into it right off the bat to, eliminate the hazard to motorists. We would then assess it to see whether or not, when our internal paving resources come online, usually mid-May, if we need to go and either dig that section out and replace it if the base is compromised, or if a surface treatment would be sufficient to restore it to drivability.
Okay. Is there any difference when it's on a bridge versus on a regular road?
Bridges do have some additional complexity. Of course, we wouldn't be digging it out if it was on a bridge, but typically that means that the subsurface is solid, so that we're probably good to do a suitable surface treatment.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Director Nellis. I have Mayor Clayton in the queue.
To cold mix and until it warms up, do our cold mix crews work over the weekends?
Director Nellis?
We do have crews over the weekends, so right now, the higher priority has been to deal with overland flooding and deal with that. However, once that work is concluded, then those crews will usually transition into potholing.
Yeah, it's unfortunate right now is sort of the perfect season of all the worst things to happen at once, and it's unfortunate. But there are, I don't know, maybe I feel it's the worst pothole season I've seen in a long time. And they're not just one. I was driving down a road the other day and I was calling 311 to report one. And then I'm like, okay. And then at the next block, then in the next block. And so I too call 311. I encourage my colleagues I know who are out and about in the community on a regular basis to call 311. And again, I can't stress it enough. Although our crews are driving everywhere, if we don't get these reported, they sometimes get missed. And it's really the best way for our team to get through them as quick as possible. So they are significant. I'll apologize. I don't know what I had to do with it, but they are significant. I apologize for the impact it's having in people's lives. But I know the crews will get to it, but please report them. Thanks.
And it is important, as the mayor stated, to report those because the more cars drive over it, the bigger those potholes get, the harder a job it is for administration to fill it. Unless I'm wrong, unless it's like the bigger the hole, the easier it is to fill. But
through the chair, you are correct.
The bigger the hole, it's easier to fill?
No,
Okay.
The opposite.
All right, let's just go on to the last thing.
I would just add that, we are doing our very best and we have finite resources. So right now, we have a number. This season brings a number of high priority items. So, we are dealing with flooding. We are still in active snow removal on priority 2 roads. We do have an active round of residential going on. So, anything that we transition to definitely pulls resources away from other things. So it's a constant daily balancing act of, where we allocate resources, and we do recognize that potholing is a significant issue, and we're allocating people to it as quickly as possible.
I believe so. Your crew does great work. And it's not easy when in January, February, we're getting winter, spring, summer, and fall all within a week. Councillor Flack.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Thiessen. Yeah, I agree with Mayor Clayton. It is good to use 311, but I do worry that we're getting to a point now where 92nd Street by Cobblestone there, going up and down it both ways, you could just call in the whole street now. I have to dodge them all the way down. Is this something we can throw money at, or is it a lack of people issue, or is that the resources you're talking about?
Director Nella. Oh, Chief Glavin.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Thiessen. Combination. So we have used contractors occasionally to do pothole filling in the past. It's not a normal practice that we have, but we have done it before. Typically, though, that's more so extensive, and when hot mix is available with the asphalt plants running, that won't happen till likely May long. So it's a ways off before hot mix comes in. With the asphalt recycler, we have an infrared heater that we're able to use to get a more durable patch, but it's a very time and resource intensive process. So we're using propane to heat, and then you got 2 to 3 people on that crew to do it. So it's a very slow moving process. So we would use that on kind of higher priority potholes on arterial roads. And really arterial roads will be the only focus we have for the next little while, unless there's a monster pothole opens up somewhere in a residential collector street. So it is possible we could throw more money at it and get a contractor out there to do some additional filling. Yeah, that's essentially where we'd be on that. If Mr. Nellis has anything else to add.
Thank you, through the chair. We don't currently have a contract with anybody for contract potholing services. However, this is something that we could bring forward in a future budget if requested.
Typically, we're able to handle most of the pothole issues inside our own organization. This is just a really incredible year so far.
It is, yeah. I'm just concerned this is about to become a big issue, and I know everything's going on and whatever, but me and Ashley could get out there and start filling them.
Yeah, I know Rory Terrence's number. He's good at shoveling. I know I've shoveled with him in the past. Any other questions, comments? This has been a very robust service area update. All right, I got one more, and it's more good news. GP Grows, the seed giveaway program. I noticed online that originally supposed to go till the 9th, and we extended it till the 13th, which is great news. That means people are taking that up and growing gardens and working their way to personal sustainability. Question for you, Chief Glavin. Do we still plan on having the seed giveaway on Earth Day as well as the Dig It program moving forward as we have in seasons past?
Yeah, thanks, Chair Thiessen. Yes, we do plan on doing that.
I love good news. That's a great way to end the service area update. Unless anybody wants to bring in some bad news. Seeing none, thank you so much for your service area update, Chief Glavin. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Nellis, for contributing all your expertise here today. We'll move right along to reports. Item 4.2. This was an interesting one. 272649, Alberta Limited Development Agreement Obligations. I'll turn it over to Chief Glavin for introduction.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. And to draw us back just briefly to the update that I provided, I did get an answer on the child seats. They are 5-point harnesses that are being installed on the buses, not for infants. So they're for children, not infants. Toddlers, yeah. On the buses.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, on to the matter at hand. The developer of Center West, Vision West, Northridge, and O'Brien Lake defaulted on their development agreement obligations. Council approval is required for us to utilize the funds that were held in security in order to complete the deficiencies. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Coulter.
Welcome, Ms. Coulter.
Thank you, and good morning. As usual, Chief Glavin pretty much summed it up. So in 2022, the developer defaulted on all of their servicing agreements with the city. Through following legal guidance, we did issue a notice of default and follow that process through, where we did call on all the securities that are under those agreements. We're now looking to utilize the securities of about $2.4 million to pay the outstanding offsite levies as they come due, as well as complete any of the remaining construction obligations. The majority of those relate to landscaping, tree planting, as well as there is some minor sanitary and water repairs that need to be completed. So allocating these funds will allow the city to complete these obligations. If the funds are not allocated, they are at risk of other creditors coming to claim them.
Right, I got Mayor Clayton in the queue. Thank you, Ms. Coulter.
Thanks. And I just want to clarify, so we're holding 2.4 approximately. Is that all of the securities?
Through the
Ms.
chair?
Coulter.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
So looking around, I don't see any other questions. Just my question is, would there be any instance where we wouldn't take back these securities? I was looking at the risk and I was like, well, why wouldn't we? I mean, it's net zero in the fact that it's not going to increase our budget and it's not going to hurt our budget, but by not taking it, we would potentially hurt the development of these areas that have stagnated. But would there be any reason why we wouldn't take these securities?
Through the chair, no. If we have them, we may as well use them to finish the outstanding agreements.
Awesome. That's what I felt. Councillor Bressie.
Thank you. I don't know if council had to do this before my time on council, so I'm mostly just curious, where would they show up on our books and just what changes on our books after we do this, out of curiosity?
Chief Whiteway.
I can start and I'll ask Ms. Coulter to add anything afterwards. So on these ones, we wouldn't hold on the books the liability until something is triggered. So we know how much is coming in. We track through the agreements that within our engineering services area. But financially, we only recognize upon receipt, and then it flows in through the reserve at that time. So we recognize those things as they would happen. If there's like assets that are developed and transferred, those go and get transferred. That's how those developments work.
Okay, so if I'm understanding it right, it's a new world to me. So we don't have that cash right now. We're calling on that cash to get transferred to us.
Correct, exactly. And there is a legal obligation here, and we made the decision to as well, just to ensure that the money spent on the outstanding work in those areas is included in a budget so that we can go forward publicly and go through that process.
And just be crystal clear, so it's not a deferred revenue, not a deferred liability right now, just doesn't exist at all right now.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks for that, Chief Whiteway. Ms. Coulter, did you have anything to add at all to that, or?
Just to the chair, we did actually call on the securities from the bank, so I believe it is sitting in a deferred revenue account not allocated. But finance would know best.
Chief Whiteway?
Sorry, I think I'm.
But it wouldn't have been deferred revenue for the whole 12 years.
Yes,
it would have been a
exactly.
reason. Okay.
Yeah, it's just in a holding account when we cash the letters of credit in. Yeah.
All right, thanks for that clarification, ladies. Really appreciate it. Any other questions on this? I see none, so I'll look for a motion to do business. Councillor Flack.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Thiessen. I move committee recommend council allocate $2,416,540.68 from the deferred developer security as follows: $1,301,319.87 to pay all outstanding off-site transportation levies, and $1,115,220.81 for completion of development projects as presented and being an amendment to the 2026 capital plan.
All right, that motion is in order. I'll look for any discussion or debate on that. Seeing none, call the question. Councillor Auger, how do you vote? In favor? That motion carries 4-0. Thank you very much, Ms. Coulter, Ms. Weiwei. And moving on to our third item of business, intentional planting options. And as Mr. DeVries settles in, I'll hand it back over to Chief Glavin to maybe give us a summary of the entire report again.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. Committee directed administration to bring back some options for low-cost intentional planting as a result of our ending of our naturalization pilot program. And I'll have Mr. DeVries give you more.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Chief Glavin. Welcome, Mr. DeVries. How are you doing today?
Great. Thank you very much, Chair Thiessen. So just a bit of context and background. As mentioned, the conclusion of the Boulevard Naturalization Pilot Program happened last fall. Just some extra information, naturalization as a whole. So over the last several years, Environment and Parks has naturalized approximately 97 hectares of land. So if we can all envision the football field area within Legion Track, that's about 1 hectare of land. So nearly 100 hectares, which is a quite significant accomplishment. And what that means is that at this time, any future naturalization opportunities are largely limited to higher visibility and or socially sensitive areas where expectations for safety, appearance, and maintenance are higher. So therefore, site selection and implementation of new projects does require some deliberate planning to balance, of course, the ecological objectives that we're hopeful for with community acceptance. So there are existing low-cost practices that are currently applied across the city as part of routine Environment and Parks operations. Our biological team in Parks routinely identifies areas that are challenging to mow, whether that be due to slope or drainage, potentially erosion, or just long-term maintenance inefficiencies. And then where appropriate, these locations are transitioned over time through some small intentional planting projects, whether that be using lower cost potted stock, so potted trees, seedlings, or our own nursery grown trees. This approach allows mowing to continue in the surrounding area while progressively shifting unproductive turf areas into intentional landscape features. Boulevards themselves do present some unique constraints. So intentional planting projects there must be applied selectively. Not all boulevard areas are suitable for intentional work. So each location does require individual assessment to balance, of course, that ecological benefit with the community expectations. Within the report, there are examples of some low-cost intentional planting work that has occurred and continues to. A good example at 68th Ave and 116th Street, where small potted trees were installed using grant funding and actually using some volunteer services as well. And over time, these plantings have matured into a grove that reduces mowing requirements and also provides ecological benefits. Figures 1 through 4 really illustrate that site's progression over the years. A second key program that we have is we also operate our annual seedling planting program, where we typically install between 2,000 and 5,000 seedlings. And these are planted intentionally across the community based on observed landscape conditions. And then as well, the city also operates a small-scale tree nursery at the Grande Prairie Cemetery, and our staff grow low-cost seedlings into viable planting stock, which of course reduces our costs compared to purchasing that stock from commercial nurseries. So in summary, the report today highlights 2 key things. The first is that administration has made significant progress in naturalization across the city, including reducing our mowed land base. And the second being that we continue to integrate intentional low-cost planting options through some of our existing programs. Of course, our goal is to continue this practice within our operational plans and our approved budgets. So with that, the recommendation today is that the Operational Services Committee receive this report for information.
Thank you very much for your report, Director DeVries. I'll turn it over to committee for our first round of questions. I don't see anybody raising their hand, so I will actually go to the mover of this original motion, Councillor Bressy.
Great, thank you. For me, where I've got more interest on this is actually the berms alongside our major roads. I love seeing lots of trees along the old bypass. I'd love to see way more trees up and down those roads. And I know that just naturalization didn't work. And I'd love to see, are there lower cost ways than we did along the bypass to get trees there in 10, 15 years from now? Have we ever tried these lower cost options in those types of naturalizing areas?
Director DeVries.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, there's been a few example areas that have where we've done this low-cost approach, and part of the low-cost approach is just staging it, so doing it in small increments, maybe a single grove one year and build onto it the next year. So a good example of this is 116th Street on the west side of Pinnacle. So if you drive along that street and you look up towards I guess it would be the back fence of those residences in Pinnacle Ridge, those are areas where we've been able to do that. And those groves, which we sort of in-house call the Green Mile, were actually funded through grants. And so we've been able to incrementally do that along that stretch. There's also some of that's happening on 116th Avenue, just on the north fence of Summit neighborhood. So similar approach where we've been able to plant small potted stock for a reasonable cost and then build them out year over year. So there are some examples within the community.
Have we ever tried it specifically on berms along major roads, though?
Through the chair, not specifically maybe roadside of the berms, but certainly on the backside. So if we think of Resources Road, for example, on the backside of the berm where there is the pathway, we have started and will continue to install small tree groves along that space. The backside of the berm certainly being more protected. As noted in the report, there's some factors that have to be considered when we look at planting on the roadside of those berms. Obviously, snow storage, salt spray, future road planning as well. These berms are great utility corridors, and so we have to be mindful of that when we're trying to plant. It's not to say that we can't. It's certainly something that we want to continue to do as we are able to within our operating plans.
And my last question, I got a comment for it, but my last question is, I know in previous reports, if I'm understanding them right, and I might be misunderstanding them right, but my understanding in previous reports is if we want to try that on areas we like to do natural, we like to let it kind of lie fallow for a couple of years, not mow for a couple of years before we pop in some of those seedlings. And if we've got some areas that we attempted naturalization on, where we've given direction for it to not mow this summer. If in the future we want to try just to plug in a bunch of saplings on those roads, have we lost an opportunity by going back to mowing, or could we plug those in anytime?
Director DeVries?
Yeah, through Chair Thiessen, there's no real reason to leave an area before planting the trees like that. So typically if a grove is being installed, we'll generally do a spray to cease growth of the grass. We'll do some soil amendments, and then we'll put the trees in place. So there's no need to really leave it. We can execute a grove within a single season.
And do we ever try just... I guess for me, what I would love to, and I've been trying for years to get us to try this. I don't even know how to try to get us to do this, but I know I would love to see us if we put 500 saplings in those roads, which a tree planter can do in about 2 hours. Like literally, I could, back when I was in my prime tree planting time, I could do it in 2 hours. Is there opportunity just put in 500 saplings on somewhere and see how that goes? And you're sure not going to have 100% survival rate. If you could get 20% survival rate, that would be pretty remarkable, and it's something that you could literally do for a couple $1,000s. And I'm trying to figure out, have we tried that approach before, and is there how to go, and is there opportunity to do that along some of our boulevards maybe?
Director DeVries?
Yeah, through Chair Thiessen, another opportunity or another location, there was some attempts at this exact thing. I'm going to get all my directions mixed, but this would be on the north side of Grand Banks. There's a steep slope that can't be mowed. That space along 68th Avenue on the south boulevard, I guess, was naturalized several years ago. With the tall grass in play, there was some attempts to put in seedlings within that space. It had a low probability of success. Obviously, we don't see many coniferous trees there today, so it is a bit challenging. Where we've seen good success with some of the seedlings are in some neighborhood parks where we've looked at, again, if we can establish a bit of a grove space, so sort of remove the grass factor, then those seedlings do have a higher chance of survival. And we've seen that in some of our parks where we tried to position them into what in the future would become a bit of a windbreak. So we've experimented a little bit with it over the last few years, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for those questions. Councillor Bressie, you've been waiting very patiently. Councillor Burke. Councillor Burke.
Yeah, thanks. I'm not on this committee, so I have to be patient, so thank you. I'm along the same lines as Councillor Bressie. In Edmonton, I think there's some great examples, real-world examples. They deal with snow. They deal with salt as well. And so the most notable one is as you drive in on Yellowhead coming in west, you've got the concrete plant on the left, but back in 1991, they planted groves in there, and it looks amazing. And so you're driving through a mini forest as opposed to looking at a giant concrete plant. When I was just in Edmonton about a month ago along the Sherwood Park Freeway, it looks exactly what Councillor Bressie had mentioned, where it was just naturalized grass that they hadn't mowed, and it looks like they plunked in a few hundred seedlings of pine. And so Edmonton is trying this along a major roadway with the Sherwood Park Freeway. So if Edmonton is finding success with it, I'm sure that we could as well. So I would like to try again what Councillor Bressie had mentioned of just, again, getting some seedlings, no different than a tree planter would, and plunking them in on a designated area and see how it takes off for the first couple of years.
Okay, thanks for those comments, Councillor Berg. Director DeVries, you mentioned that we have a small-scale tree nursery, and that's I take a little bit of point of pride in that that we're growing our own trees. Do we have any plans to expand the tree nursery? Obviously, budgetary constraints, but within the next 5 years, any plans to expand what we do in the nursery?
Yeah, thank you through the chair. No current plans for expansion. Obviously, we do have a bit of space still within that area where we could expand a little bit. Right now, there's about 1,000 trees within that within the space that we do have. It sounds like a big number, but of course, they're smaller trees. 90% of that is trees and about 10% is shrubs. So we have a fairly good space right now. We could expand it with the existing scope, but if we were to look at like a larger, much bigger, obviously we would need to probably relocate out of the cemetery.
What's our current capacity of the tree nursery? Like you said, we had some space in there still, and we could work within those confines. Do we know the capacity at all, or?
Yeah, so through the chair right now, again, about 1,000 items that are in there. We could probably get to 1,500 within the existing space, yeah.
Awesome. That's great to know. Perhaps this is a way that we can seed some saplings moving forward. Just a point of interest for anybody who's on committee, council, or in the general public. Part of our intentional planting is also working with our GP Grows program and the Orchard program. If you haven't been aware, I know I heard it come up between Resources Road between the south entrance of Country Club towards the Grande Prairie Golf and Country Club. We have quite a nice orchard out there, Hascap berries, rhubarb growing out there, all very intentional. And if you're looking for a light snack on your way to shoot some balls at the golf course, that's a great place to stop on your bike, your scooter, or even on your feet while you're heading on your way out there. But thanks for all the great work that you do in regards to intentional plantings. I don't see any other hands going up, so I will look for business arising to any member of committee who'd be willing to make that motion. Mayor Clayton.
Thanks for that, Chair Thiessen. I would move the committee receive this report for information.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clayton. That is in order. Call to question. Councillor Roger, how do you vote? In favor. All right, there we go. Yeah. Very good. We are learning multiple languages here today, so thank you for that. And thank you, Director DeVries, for your report. Appreciate it very much. Just 2 items of business left. I did add this other one on there. Thank you to Councillor Auger for amending our agenda as it is. The reason I bring this up is on the weekend, Aquaterra put out a fact sheet on fluoride, and it generated a lot of discussion in and around the community. I imagine it's still populating to this, but there were some things in the fact sheet that gave me rise to other questions and for me to research a bit of what Aquaterra had provided for our community. One of those was on the third point of the fact sheet that said there are no negative impacts on the safety of our drinking water, in continuing or ceasing the addition of fluoride. It also stated that the approval use of fluoride was done by the National Sanitation Foundation, or NSF Canada. You can find it at nsfcanada.ca. I went there. Unfortunately, their English language website was not working, so I don't speak French, so I went to the American and the European ones. Essentially, it's a third-party source, but they do make recommendations, but none of those are binding within our health authorities. So the reason I bring this up right now is because of the considerable conversation that Aquaterra started. I thought it might be a matter of public record for us to request Aquaterra to come in and present the facts on fluoride to a future Council Committee of the Whole, as I figure it's a discussion that maybe we all, whether we're pro-fluoridation of our water or against fluoridation of our water, could benefit to learn from. So that's all I've got for this. I have provided a motion for that request, if any member of committee would be willing to make that, and open up this discussion for further comments or questions. Mayor Clayton.
I'm happy to make the motion to have a conversation on this. Committee direct administration to invite Aquaterra to a future council, well, I don't know if we need to prescribe it as Council Committee of the Whole, but to a future meeting to discuss community water fluoridation.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. That's the business of it. Nothing gained, nothing lost, and nothing but information coming forward.
Do you have a comment, though?
For sure, Mayor Clayton.
Thinking about, excuse me, your motion. I wonder if this is a better conversation with all the shareholders at an Aquaterra meeting rather than a city council meeting. So I know you prepared this motion, but did you have conversations with administration about that option?
No, I did not have conversations with that. I did figure that that would be an option going forward if we were to discuss doing anything with it, keeping it in or removing it. But because that decision is up to the shareholders. I just thought since there was a considerable amount of community conversation on the social media channels, that it would be better just to get a matter of public record and to have questions that are publicly available to anyone who might need more information on the subject.
I just think if there's any interest from the shareholders, that all the shareholders should get the information at the same time. So I'd like to withdraw or amend my motion that administration to invite Aquaterra to present a conversation on community water fluoridation at the next appropriate shareholder meeting. So all shareholders are receive the same information at the same time.
All right, that is a motion that is in order. I'll look for any discussion or debate on that. Seeing none, I'll call to question. Councillor Auger? Councillor Auger in favor? And that motion carries 4-0. Moving right along, our last item on the agenda is our outstanding items list. And for that, I will turn it back to Chief Glavin.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. Today we were presented with item 1394, naturalization options, and that can be removed from the list.
Okay. Any discussion or debate on the outstanding items list? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the outstanding items list as amended. Councillor Flack.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Thiessen. I move committee receive the March 10th outstanding items list as amended for information.
Awesome. And that motion is in order. We'll call to question. Councillor Auger, how do you vote? In favor. And that motion carries. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. We'll be back again in 2 weeks and a week for a council meeting. Stay glorious.